everyone, and welcome back to Intrusive Thoughts. I am your host, Adam Rippon, the man with all the thoughts, and most of them are intrusive. And I'm not going to hide any of them from you. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Intrusive Thoughts. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, it is Pride Month. Okay, and I want to start with one thing. Now, will this lead into anything else? Absolutely not. I just want you to know what's happening to me in the month of Pride. How am I doing? I'm glad you asked. I got an email from, now you would think that this is going to start out like, wow, how cool is that? It's not. You're going to have to let me finish. I got an email from the jewelry conglomerate of Cartier. You're like, whoa, okay, how could it get bad? I don't really understand. All right, let me read the email. And you also might be thinking, what does this have to do with Pride? It does. Give me a second. So they say in this email, I'm not going to read you the whole thing. I've never read the whole email. I only read what they put in bold. Okay, so it's our first time reading the email together. All I know, it's not good. Here we go. We are writing to inform you that an unauthorized party gained temporary access to our system and obtained limited client information. The affected information did not include any passwords, credit card details, or other banking information. Okay, now they're just saying also, okay, the confidential nature of a relationship with you is very important to us, and we regret any inconvenience this may have caused you. All right, so let's just to get it straight, they lost my information. What information they had, who knows? I have no idea what they would have. But how did they start this email? Okay, this is what I'm getting to. How did they start this email? It says, "Dear Miss Rippon." Dear Miss Rippon. So in Pride Month, I got this email June 2nd, okay? In Pride Month, it's the second day of Pride. And they're going, hey, sissy boy, we sold your information to Russians. That's kind of what I'm assuming that they did. Sissy boy, hey, Miss Rippon. Excuse me? Miss Rippon, misgendering me the second day of Pride and selling all my information to God knows who. Anyway, I'll probably be back. They will get my business again, and I'll give them new information. And maybe with this one, they'll call me Mr. Rippon. I guess no guarantees. I'll have to see what happens when they sell it to somebody else next Pride. Dear Miss Rippon, it did give me a bit of a chuckle because for some reason, now I don't know why I have this, but I have multiple different emails. It's not because I'm so busy, believe me. It just, over the years, I've accumulated different forms of how people could reach out to me. And I got this specific email all to a Miss Rippon who doesn't exist. They're like, transition. If you're really gay, if you're really that gay, transition. Don't be fucking scared. Cartier. What? At the end of the email, it says, should you have any further questions? Yeah, I'd like to talk to HR. Miss Rippon. Please. Pride Month. This is what happens when you elect Trump for the second time. You have Cartier misgendering you. I think on purpose. I'm going to say it. I think they may have done it on purpose. There's no proof, but I'll just going to put it out there. Like I said, I will be back. All right. Now, that had nothing. Happy Pride, everyone. Happy Pride. Right. I have to end on a happy note. It will have nothing to do with anything else I will talk about on this episode of Intrusive Thoughts. The thoughts are intrusive. Hopefully, we learn something at the end of when I share these thoughts, because what I hope throughout the duration of this podcast is I'll share these thoughts, kind of how I'm sharing the thoughts of how I was called Miss Rippon by the owner of Cartier, from the Maison Cartier, as it says at the end of this email. And maybe I'll learn something. Maybe not. Maybe we will all together, maybe like we'll all walk away from this and learn something. But from this specific story I just told, no, we didn't learn anything. If anything, somebody out there learned my former address. They learned something. They didn't learn my gender, though. That's for damn sure, Miss Rippon. I'm really not bothered by it at all. I'm actually not. I don't want you to think I actually am. I do think it's quite funny. Now, I do want to tell you a story. Now, this is scary. Pride was off to a rough start. The other day, I was up early, and I thought, you know what, I'm up early. My dog Tony was up, and when he gets up, he's like up. He's like walking around. He's ready to go. He wants to go for a walk first thing in the morning. My other dog, Tracy, she won't get out of bed. She'll like kind of acknowledge that it's the morning, but she will stay in bed, which I think is like so chic. So I'm like, okay, all right, Tracy, you stay in bed. Tony, let's go. So I am taking Tony for a walk around the block where we live. And we live in LA, in like one of like the suburb parts, like in Pasadena. Not like Pasadena. I live in Pasadena. I'll stop being coy. Because the last time I was coy, I got called Miss Rippon by Cartier. So, all right, I'm going to be straight to the point. That is what a man would do, which is, I guess, what they're asking me to do at Cartier. I don't know. So I live in Pasadena, and I'm taking my dog Tony for a walk in the morning. It's quite early. The sun isn't out yet. And we're going around the block, and I hear this rustle in the bushes. And I'm like, oh, God. I'm like starting to roll my eyes a bit because I'm assuming, okay, it's a squirrel. And my dog, Tony, if there's something about him, he loves me for sure. And he loves his other dad, and he loves his sister. But I think somewhere in there, I don't know who's getting knocked down the totem pole. Squirrels are right up there. And I can't blame them because they look like they could be a lot of fun, right? They're always scurrying around. They're always kind of looking quickly at things. I get the appeal, I'm not naive. I get it. They look like they'd be a lot of fun. But I'm not ready for Tony to go crazy after a squirrel. And as a dad, I don't allow it, right? We don't do that. We don't act like that outside. Sorry. I know there are some people out there who are like, let dogs be dogs. No. Let dogs have manners. How about that, Miss Rippon? Right? How about that? So I can see that this squirrel, or so I think, is making a lot of noise in the bushes. And I'm like, can this squirrel please not do this right now? Because I see Tony get really into what's happening in the bush. And I'm saying, Tony, come on. No, let's go. We got to continue the walk. And then I see what I think is like the squirrel running through the bush. That's weird. I didn't know squirrels ran through bushes. And then I have to say to Tony, all right, Tony, leave it. Let's go. We're going to keep going. As soon as I say this, the little like brown thing I had seen like scurrying through the bush turns into a little snout and then out crawls, not walks, crawls down close to the floor. A fucking coyote. Yeah. So this coyote comes out walking towards us now, right? Like this has always been like my worst nightmare of what would happen if we ran into a coyote. Because I'll tell you, sometimes we will see a coyote in and around the neighborhood that we live in. And it feels like, why are they here? Like, what are they doing here? Because we live near a busy street, like in the like downtown-ish area, right? What is a coyote doing here? Shouldn't you be nervous, buddy? So it's always been my nightmare that like a coyote would like find us interesting, right? Like I want everyone to find me interesting. This is the one thing I don't want to find me interesting is a wild coyote in my neighborhood, right? Like everyone else, I'm like, pay attention, right? Even Cartier, I'm like, I'll take it. I'll take the Miss Rippon as long as you're calling. It doesn't matter. But the coyote is who I don't want to pay any attention to me. And unfortunately, they're incredibly interested in everything I have to do and say, and Tony too. So this coyote is crawling, sneaking up on us, like low to the ground. It is defending itself, going to attack us. I don't know. But I know that you need to be loud and you need to create like a commotion when there is a coyote approaching you. You basically need to haze them or scare them, right? And so I know I'm supposed to make a lot of noise. And I don't know why this was the noise that I decided to like go with. And it's like the most like deep down, most Pennsylvania part of me that comes out. You know, I work so hard on my own manners, right? Like I was just talking about my dog's manners, but I work so hard on my own and my etiquette that the most Pennsylvania part of me comes out in moments of crisis. It's like fight or flight. And I choose a fight in Pennsylvania. That's what I always choose. So this coyote comes at me and I am screaming. It's quite early in the morning. Hey, fuckhead. Get the fuck away from me and my fucking dog, you fucking freak. I'm screaming this, right? I think when they say make noise, they mean like yell, like, hey, whoa, boo, something like that, right? But not me. No, that's not what I'm going to say. I'm going to call the coyote a fuckhead, a fuckface. Well, he actually did not take to that pretty well, did not scare him at all. I think this coyote did speak English because he actually got even more mad at that. And I said, what the fuck are you doing? He wasn't leaving us alone. He starts like lunging at Tony, who he's having the time of his life. He thinks this is the most fun that we've ever had. Oh my God, this is better than a squirrel. And I'm like, dude, this thing doesn't like you. It actually hates us and thinks that we're delicious. And so then I start to try to lunge at the coyote from like the other side. Coyote doesn't give a shit. The coyote's the one who probably wrote this email. Hey, Miss Rippon. Little lady. Hey, little lady. I don't care. So we have this back and forth where I'm trying to scare the coyote away. Again, top of my lungs. Hey, fuckhead, back the fuck up. Like he actually has any idea what I'm saying. And I'm also trying to pull Tony away, who's like, wagging his tail the whole time. Can we not? So finally, I see these cars like driving towards us. Like it's a busy street, but it's quite early, so there's not a lot of people on the road. So I finally, thank God, see these cars driving towards us. And I start like waving them down, like, please come here. Hello. And thank God, because we've had a lot of coyotes like in the area. Thank God whoever was driving through figured out what was happening. And so I see them like drive at me and they see the coyote and they like swerve the car into the coyote. Now, you know what I said to the coyote. I pissed him off. He was pissed. And he saw the car. And there's a moment where I could see in his tiny little stupid coyote brain where he was trying to figure out, okay, should I try to take on the car or should I just run away? Or should I actually keep going after these two losers, after Miss Rippon and his dog? Let me see. Should I try that? Thank God the car has the sensibility to like, pump on the gas a little bit and like scare the coyote, honk on the horn. Coyote runs off. I go, thank God. Thank God that car figured out what was happening because I don't think that coyote was going to leave us alone. And so I cross the street And then I crossed the street again, and then I crossed the street again. So basically, like if I was at a intersection, I like crossed the street. So now I'm all the way on the other side of the street that I live on. Are you following? Hopefully. Walk down the street. I check both directions, and I want to see, okay, make sure that this coyote is gone, that it actually ran away and it's not like stalking us now, that it's not outside my door going, hey, Miss Rippon, it's Cartier calling, little bitch, we're going to eat you. That wasn't happening. So I crossed the street and, I'm obviously like, I'm shaken up, right? Even though I had the bravery to tell a coyote to his face that he was a fuckhead. Like he cared at all. He could have cared not even any less that I called him a fuckhead. But I start walking up. I'm walking to our front door. And wouldn't you fucking know, we have like a little garden area. And through the side from one of the bushes at the side near our front door, another coyote walks right up and starts following me like, hey, what are you guys doing? Like actually a fucking idiot. Starts like following us up our front door. I'm like, this can't be real. So I'm like unlocking the door. I throw Tony in. Now he's 50 pounds. It's a light toss into the door. He's like, whoa, what's going on? Come inside, slam the door, lock the door. My husband's like, what the hell is going on? And I tell him, I'm like, oh, we were just attacked by a coyote who didn't give a fuck about what was going on. And I had to wave down a car to run me over and then direct them to scaring the coyote, which kind of wasn't scared. And so I tell this all to JP, and he's like, okay, I'm going to go outside, and if any coyotes are around the house, I'm going to like chase them off so that they don't get like comfortable coming around the house. Excellent idea. He goes outside, and there are now 2 coyotes outside our front door, basically gossiping about me, where it's like, can you believe that guy just like ran in? Or he called our friend a fuckface. They're basically on the sidewalk. I know, like in whatever, like however coyotes do it, they're talking shit. I know it. And so JP like, runs after them like, hey, get out of here, like whatever. And they're doing the slowest run. They're like, oh God, okay. Like they couldn't be bothered. And so the moral of the story is be careful of the coyotes out there. Because I remember as soon as this happened, I was like, I'm going to Dick's Sporting Goods and I'm buying myself a Louisville Slugger because I'm not going to take it anymore. Right? They don't care if I call them fuckface, but they'll care if I take a Louisville Slugger to them. And then I'm like, I'm not carrying a baseball bat on these walks. Like, no. So I have learned that if this ever happens again, and I've equipped myself for if it does ever happen again, I have a little thing of pepper spray because now I know that they're not scared of me, little old Miss Rippon, right? They're not scared of me at all. And they're not scared of the noise. They actually felt empowered by it. And they weren't scared by somebody chasing them. It was a light summer jog that they did away from the house as my 6'4" big Finnish husband is like, hey, get out of here. They're like, whoa, okay. Jogging out of here, like not breaking a sweat. So now I have pepper spray, a little tiny little pink pepper spray because it was somehow $3 cheaper than the black one at Target. So I got the pink one and I have that with me now for like my own security, just in case I see a squirrel, I say in quotes, in the bushes. It's not. It was the nose of a coyote sniffing us out. It's wild out there. Okay. So that's the moral of that story. There's only one more thing I want to talk about. Okay. Again, these have no linking pieces. Obviously, I'm frazzled. I was attacked by a coyote. Then I was attacked by a major, 100-plus-year-old company, personally attacked. And this is the last thing. and it has nothing to do with anything else. So I don't want you to try to, invisible string theory these stories together. They do not belong. I'll find a way to kind of tie it all together, but the theme of it is like happy Pride. Like none of it is happy yet, but we'll get there. I was the other day on TikTok and I fell down a rabbit hole of watching these videos of people who are backpacking through Europe. Okay. And in these videos, it's usually starts with me before backpacking around Europe, me after. So it's basically a video of them like at the airport, or it's a video of them looking quite tired at their job. And then the next clip is like after they've been backpacking. And, all the comments are like, oh my God, like their souls come alive after they've been backpacking. You can see the light in their eyes again. It's like, oh my God, you're right. Like the light was gone and now the light is like so back. Like the light is so back in their eyes. And the thing that I thought was quite funny, I did get a little chuckle out of it, was a lot of people on TikTok. If you ever are on TikTok, a lot of people love to do like think pieces on any subject. They'll sit there and they'll talk to the camera and give like a New York Times level breakdown of like whatever. Okay. And somebody is doing a breakdown of the backpacking through Europe theory. And they're like, I don't know what it is, but like these people, it changes people and they look incredible. And I don't know what it is. And it's just like, wow. And I didn't really need to think that hard about it because I know what it is, right? And I'll tell you what it is. And this is really going to it's going to burst your bubble. Sorry. Somebody has to tell you the truth. This is what it is. They got a tan and they lost 15 pounds. Okay. That would make anyone look like they got this light in their eye back. That's what's happening. Okay. All of these people are at the airport looking like Humpty Dumpty. Let's see how this goes. And then you see them 3 to 6 months later. They've been walking 20 miles a day. They have a gorgeous tan and they lost 15 pounds. Of course, I can't put my finger on it. It's great. They've got their sparkle back. I don't know how they did it. I'll tell you what they did. They walked for, 8 hours a day. They got a tan and that helped them lose 15 pounds. And, sometimes it makes me think maybe I'm just 15 pounds away from getting my sparkle back, And there's another one where it's like, oh my God, this girl looks so different. Like what happened? Like you see the before and you're like, okay, she was away for 8 months. All the filler in her face dissolved. Right. I'm sure like the backpacking and the like constant exercise, like I am sure that was like incredibly helpful. I would say it was even pivotal, right, to her feeling good. But the like, this is backpacking did this. No, not getting filler for 8 months, losing 15 pounds and getting a tan is what did that. And she did that through backpacking. We just need to remember, like, how did she get there? She got there that way. It's not like I put the backpack on and it's just like everything is better after that. The process of getting better. But I just thought that was funny because it really is that. Like everybody looks better with a tan. And that's, if anything, that's what these videos did prove to me. It's a guy in a office building lit, overhead lighting, tough. Overhead lighting is tough. And then all of a sudden it's like golden hour in Barcelona, right? Of course he's going to look better. And he's 15 pounds lighter with a tan, like I said. Of course he's going to look better, right? He's got a scruffy little beard and like long, beautiful, curly hair. And before, he was trying to slick it back dippity-doo style in an overhead lit office in Chicago, not even in Springfield, Illinois. How about that? It's like not even in the city where it's like you're getting the city light. No, not even that. Springfield and then Barcelona, right? It doesn't really compare. And you can't go, I don't know how they're doing it. I do. Golden hour in Spain, exercising for 20 days, getting a tan leads to a 15-pound weight loss, getting your sparkle back. Got to break it down for yourself. I also will kind of do anything, reason to myself in any way of why I should never, ever, ever go backpacking anywhere. You should only backpack to school, like wear a backpack to school. Backpacking through the world is so intimidating to me. All the props to people who do it, because it does, like I've noticed on TikTok, it does give you your sparkle back. Once you do get that tan and the filler dissolves, 15-pound weight loss. It's incredible. It's incredible. That's enough out of me. I want to go right to the voicemails today. So for me, this is Miss Rippon kind of signing out of this and getting right to the voicemails.
Please leave your message after the tone.
Hi, Adam. Thank you for making this podcast and giving my ears and brain something to enjoy while I drift off the dream. I just wanted to talk about this whole Patty LuPone bullshit. The only reason she apologized is because she's about to get canceled by, let's be real, the gays. And we put up with a lot of her shit for years. And no, we're done. Yeah, don't mess with our queens of Broadway, a.k.a. Audrey McDonald and Lewis. It ain't right. So, love the beautiful letter that her publicist wrote. So good. So good. Anyways, yeah, thanks. Love you, Adam.
Okay. One, I'm honored to be the last voice you hear. And I'm honestly grateful that it doesn't lead you into nightmare paralysis. Now, the Patty LuPone, right? Okay, I have just a few things to say about this situation. And one, come on, it is kind of funny that somebody has a beef with somebody that they hadn't seen in 10 plus years, never gave them a reason to why they would be upset. And to give you a little background on this specific story, Audrey McDonald was giving an interview, and in this interview, they ask her about this feud that she's having with Patty LuPone. Okay. And Audrey turns to the camera and she says, honestly, I haven't seen her in many years, so you're going to have to ask Patty. I don't know. And as you're learning, do I know a lot about the background? No, that's what I know, because it's going to lead me to another part of the story. Again, nothing's linking today. It's all right. It's my month. It's Pride Month, Miss Rippon's month. Okay. So basically, there's this feud that Audrey McDonald didn't know about that she was having with Patty. Patty was upset about something. Okay. She says, ask Patty. Well, then there's this long petition list of people who are like, Patty needs to apologize. And so she comes out with an apology letter. Okay. That's what I know. Now that's what you know. If you know more, great. Write in. Call the podcast, right? Call us. Tell us more. Our number is 310-909-7117. As I'll say again at the end. Okay. Now, does that matter? No, because it's not going to interfere with the story I'm going to tell about Patty LuPone. And it's really good. It's a really good story. Okay. Have I ever met her? No, I've never met Patty LuPone. Okay. But someone in my family has, and it was my mother. My mother, Kelly. My mother, Kelly, met Patty LuPone on a plane. Okay. This is not going where you think it is. Okay. So I just want you to know that when any Rippon tells you a story, including my mother, it is guaranteed to go in the direction that you absolutely think will never go. This story will never go in that direction. It would be impossible, right? Okay. So my mom gets on the plane and she sits next to this woman and she sees the ticket. My mom's like, this woman looks so familiar. It looks so familiar. And my mom sees the ticket laying right next to her. So my mom got upgraded. That's an important part to the story. So my mom's like, she's on cloud 9. Flight's upgraded. She's getting, Bloody Mary ready to go. It's probably, 8 a.m. My mom sits on the plane. Also, so many of these stories that are on this podcast are about aviation. I'm so sorry. It's coming from somebody who's just a member, like have no status whatsoever, have really a bone to pick with the airlines. Back to my mom. She's sitting on the plane, first class, Bloody Mary on deck, coming out. She looks down and she sees the ticket and she looks up. She goes, I know how I know this woman because she looks so familiar, as I said. Now, a little background on this. No background on the Patty LuPone story, background on the story I'm telling. The background I want to give you is that when I was younger, I skated at a rink, and one of the women who was a manager of the rink, her name was Patty. Okay? And so my mom sees the ticket laying on the armrest thing. And she sees the name on the ticket. It says Patty. And she goes, that's why this woman is so familiar. So my mom goes, Patty. And Patty LuPone is like, yes. And my mom's like, Patty, it's Kelly. Kelly Rippon. And Patty's like, yeah, I'm not sure. And my mom's like, come on, Patty, come on. You know me. We've been in Toronto together. We've gone out to dinner. My mom puts on a show that not even Patty LuPone could deny, a performance that not even Patty could deny. In fact, she didn't just deny it. She embraced it. She went, oh my God, Kelly. Oh my God, Kelly. And my mom was like, yeah, how are you? And so, it's small talk because obviously Patty LuPone doesn't know who my mom is, but she's absolutely convinced Patty LuPone that she forgot somebody who she should have never forgotten. And that's true, right? That'll be true after she meets my mom. She will never forget this lady. Kelly, you know me. You know me, Patty. And so they're talking and whatever. Flight starts, and then there's some turbulence. And then this is where the tables turn. And Patty turns to my mom. She goes, Kelly, can you please hold my hand? I'm very nervous with the turbulence. And so my mom's like, oh, Patty, it's going to be fine. And then I think it wasn't until my mom, they get off the flight. Bye. So nice to see you. Great. Blah, 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 whatever. My mom saw her friend Patty, right? It's not until years later that my mom sees, Patty LuPone on TV for some reason. And my mom is like, oh my God. And I'm like, what? And she goes, okay, I have to tell you a story. I was on a plane and I thought that Patty was the Patty from the rink, and it was Patty LuPone. And now I know why she couldn't remember who I was. But she was humoring me and asked to hold my hand during turbulence. So we did make some sort of connection. But yeah, she was right. We had never met. And so that, I think, is a really important part of who Patty LuPone is, right? It's important that, that on an airline, my mom was threatening enough that Patty LuPone said, all right, I'm going to have to take this lady's word for it. I know her. It's great to see you, Kelly. It's great to see you. And so I just want you to know that however insane you think Patty LuPone is, just know that my mother and probably me are more insane. Next voicemail.
Please leave your message after the tone.
Hi, Adam. I was calling to see or hear your opinions on middle-aged, straight, white men who wear linen pants. Because I keep seeing them around, and it's just, I don't know whether to accept it or not, because something just feels a little off about it. So your opinions would be very much appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd love to throw my hat in the ring when it comes to this topic. Straight white men wearing linen pants. Okay. All right, here's the deal. This is where we are as a society, as a culture, right? Like, I think that the men wearing the linen pants, I kind of believe that they're the last allies we have, because we're at a point now where, it wasn't too long ago that there was a debate of people on Twitter, on TikTok talking about, yeah, no, I don't wash my asshole because that's gay, right? Because obviously washing the place where shit comes out of your body, that would be gay. It would be straight to just kind of let all of that fester back there, right? Like it would be straight to do that. And their reasoning was that it would be gay to touch your own butt. Which, yeah, is sort of a sentence I never thought I would say on the podcast, but, that was before I was called Miss Rippon by the Cartier jewelry company, Cartier International, right? Now that I'm Miss Rippon, everything's on the table. So yes, there was a debate of, I think I'm not doing that. No, a lot of people, it was like their hard line in the sand of like, I don't care what you say. No, I'm never going to wash my butthole. I'm never touching that thing. Okay. One, really interesting that this is the conclusion they came to, right? That they wouldn't wash their own ass, right? They're afraid to wash their own ass. So that's where we're standing, right? We're like, as a culture, we're like, that's even something like that we're debating of, is it okay? And, it's like another think piece that you've got to scroll through on TikTok. Is it gay to wash your own ass? No, I would say it's filthy to not wash it. I wouldn't even go to sort of a sexual orientation. I wouldn't even go there, right? I wouldn't even take that leap. But these people are. They're going, no, touching your own butt. Now you have to kiss a guy. Like, nobody was escalating it to that point. No matter. That's what you need to know of, like, that's kind of what we're dealing with. So if they think that washing their own ass in the shower is gay, they absolutely have made up their mind on certain materials touching the skin. This is what I'm trying to get to, right? Like, I think these people specifically who are saying that washing your ass in the shower is gay, I think these men specifically would have to agree that the straight materials to wear are cotton blend, nylon, and some sort of like Viore Lululemon sweat technology, right? I think that they've all agreed that sweat wicking technology is a straight material. And anything that has a bit of an, like, if they put it on, they go, it's itchy, right? If they put it on and they go, it's itchy, I think they go, that's a gay material. That's not a gay material. It's gay material. And that's not touching me, I bet, is kind of what they say. Because they're not touching me either. They're not touching themselves, is what I mean to say. They're going into the shower going, I'm not touching me. Okay, they're not even touching themselves. You think they're going to put on an itchy linen pant? No. The men who are putting on the linen pants are going, I know the linen is going to be uncomfortable at first, right? But I know that it will be breathable once I just become accustomed to it and I break it in a little bit. For me, for instance, actually, this shirt that I'm wearing right now is linen. And when I put it on, yeah, there was a part of me deep down, a part that I'm not proud of, a part that I'm not proud of when it's itchy. I don't want to wear it. Wouldn't it just be easier to put on a sweat wicking shirt? You know, it's the devil on your shoulder going, no, you should always be in comfortable clothes. Now this shirt is quite comfortable. I sucked it up, right? I couldn't scare a coyote, but I could talk myself into, being a decent citizen of the United States today and put on a linen collared shirt, right? So I do believe, in my personal opinion, is that the men who are out there wearing the linen pants, if you're not sure how you should feel about it, I think you should feel okay. I think you should feel safe, because I do think that the men in the linen pants are on our side, right? They're on the right side of history, okay? They've done a little bit of research on their own, which isn't always a good thing. I'm going to do my own research. It's like the last famous words of the dumbest person you've ever met. But they did a little of their own research, and they realized that the natural materials are going to be the most breathable in the summertime. So yeah, maybe it's a bit jarring, right? That they're not in like a Nike golf pant that has 4-way stretch. Whoa, what a not every material needs to have elastine in it, right? Like some materials are meant to have and hold a bit of structure. It's not that crazy, right? It's crazy to be wearing, I'm in Lululemon pants right now, right? So I'm like almost red pilled, but not quite, because I'm in a linen top, right? So just like, I want you to know that if you see those men walking around, I think you have a 90% chance of knowing that you're with somebody who has at least thought of the reasons of why are they wearing the linen pants. I think you should just feel safe. I think you should really just feel good about it. I think it's a good thing. I understand what you're saying. It's like sometimes weird of like, what? Why are your pants billowing in the breeze? That's on them for getting that kind of like cut and shape. We can't blame them for the silhouette. We can blame them for wearing sweat wicking technology head to toe. Okay. I'd like to do one more voicemail.
Please leave your message after the tone.
Hi, Adam. This is Claire. Again, since you asked for recommendations on your Facebook page about topics, I will give you one more. I was so excited to be on one of your shows. It made my whole year. Anyway, there's that quote that says, small changes can lead up to a big change. And I was just curious, you seem to be an expert on comebacks. I read your book where you talk about coming back from your foot injury to make it to the Olympics. And also, when you were talking about your Gerber baby, the orange sweatpants that were on their own journey now, what are some things that you would recommend to somebody who's kind of a little bit in a rut that really wants to make a comeback with their health or their life trajectory? I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on that. Have a great day. You are awesome.
Okay. I'll give a little context to some of the things that were brought up in this voicemail. And then I will talk about how do you prepare yourself? How do you prepare yourself for a comeback? Okay. So the orange sweatpants. Now, I think I mentioned this on the podcast once before. I have a picture. This was like in the deep trenches of COVID. And I have this picture of me laying on a bed. I looked like a beached way. I looked like one of those people who it's like me before backpacking through Europe, right? Extra 15 pounds. It's before I got my sparkle back. Everybody relax. But I just I was out of shape. I wasn't working out. I just wasn't feeling good. But I saw this picture of myself. I'm in orange sweatpants. My belly, because it wasn't like my stomach. It was like my belly. And there's a distinct medical difference. Was hanging out. And I went, enough is enough. And these orange sweatpants were the catalyst to me going back to the gym. A comeback, someone might say. Also to the caller, I'm so glad that you read my book. I hope that you enjoyed it. And what they're talking about is that when I was skating, about a year before the Olympics, almost to the day that they would announce the Olympic team, that they would choose it. A year before that, I was about to get onto the ice to train, practice. I was not even in my skates. I was in my sneakers and I was warming up to get onto the ice. I did a little jump and I came down weird on my foot and I heard this crack and I look down and my ankle is the size of my ass. It's huge. And I am okay, I broke my ankle. And we're about a year out from the Olympics. And when I went to the Olympics, this was the third Olympics that I was going to try and make because I was an alternate in 2010. And then in 2014, I didn't make the team. In 2018, I was really starting to come into my own and feel good about myself. And I was skating really well. And I break my foot. It's a year out. And in that moment, I think old me, 4 years before that, I would have been nervous. I would have been thinking what the fuck? Why me? Why the fuck is this happening? But in that moment, yeah, I was white like a ghost because it hurt like hell. But I also was thinking, okay, I'm going to use this as a challenge. Okay, I'm going to just see how good can I get? How far can I come? And let's just see how close can I get to making the Olympic team? No matter what happens, I'm thinking this within minutes of breaking my foot. Just because of everything I had been through up to that point, I had matured enough that I knew that I was only going to do what was possible, but let's see it as a challenge. So to make a long story short, that was the mentality that I kept throughout the next few months while I had to basically just wait for my foot to recover. Because what actually happened is I sprained my ankle. That's why it was so big and I broke my foot. So I needed the bone to heal. But to be honest, the thing that was the hardest thing to heal was the sprained ankle. Sprained ankles are not a joke. Okay. So it took a few months. And I thought to myself, okay, we got to get it going. So to make a long story short with this specific story is I took my time and I just focused internally and I didn't focus on going to the Olympics. And I honestly believe that mentality helped me have that comeback. When I think, because I'm always in a constant state of thinking, all right, it's time to make a comeback. It's time to come back, everybody. I'm here. I'm always begging for attention. Even when it's to Miss Rippon, I'll take it. But I honestly feel that when you are thinking of making a comeback, the one thing that I think is so important is that you need to think of one, where do I want to go? Where do I want to take this? What do I want the end result to be? And then you need to be incredibly flexible with that end vision looking completely different by the time you get there. I think like when you first sit down, you have to have that idea so you can make like some plan or take some steps or like an initiative of like whatever. If you're like, I just need to like look my best, right? First, you got to think, okay, what does that mean? Maybe that means backpacking through Europe to get your sparkle back, right? Maybe that's what it is. So what are the steps you need to take? Okay, well, you need to get the backpack. You need to, get the gear. You need to make sure you're in shape so that like you can get on the Euro rail with the backpack and you can run to the next train, right? So it's those little things. And before you reach the goal of like, what do I want this to be? There's so many little steps you need to take. And with each little step, the first step you take is always ugly. It's always bad. And you need to be prepared that first step is not going to be anywhere close to how you want yourself to be, or it's going to feel like you're no closer to what you want, like the final stage of the comeback to be. You're going to feel so far from your goal. And what you need to remember is that the most fun part of your comeback is the process of coming back. You need to enjoy that. It's impossible at times to enjoy it while it's happening because you're like, can't I just have completed this goal already? But you can't be afraid to get down and dirty. Now, I'm going to break it down even further of like, what do you mean exactly? Like, I kind of know what you're talking about, like, but what do you mean that like you have to be okay with that first step being ugly? So like in some certain terms, maybe you can understand it in a way of like, okay, I want to get to the gym because I want to look better. And okay, well, that first step is you might be not as strong as you want. So you don't really know what you're doing when you're lifting the weights, or like you've never run on the treadmill before. So you don't have great stamina. One, nobody cares, right? Everybody's too busy being worried about themselves. So nobody really gives a shit about you, right? If that coyote that was trying to attack me didn't give a shit about me, do you think the person at the gym is going to give a shit that like you can't run for 15 minutes? I don't think so. Okay. So nobody cares. Got to remember that. So don't be afraid to start ugly, right? You just got to get started. So back to this example of like, you're going to the gym. You don't know exactly what you're doing in there, but you know what? You just get started, right? You've seen a few exercises on Instagram. You've seen a few things on YouTube. You've watched some, influencer talk about like, this is how I got my 8-pack, whatever. Okay, try a few of those things and then just start with that. And then I guarantee you, if you do that a few times, then you'll try something else. And then maybe you'll add some more exercises into that. And then you'll not notice this, but eventually a few months down the road, because it does take time, you'll go and you'll think to yourself, oh my God, wait, I kind of know what I'm doing when I come here. And if at the very least, I at least know where everything is. Maybe you don't feel comfortable doing everything, but you at least have some familiarity when you step into that space and you don't feel so out of place, right? Maybe that resonates with you. I think another thing that you need to think about, okay, is like, this is another way of like, maybe this is how it will click in your brain if you can't be afraid to get ugly with it. And that's how you get to the final version, is that let's say you have a trip coming up, right? And you need to be like in looking your best in 5 days. You've got 5 days. So we know that like at this point, it's too late to go to Europe with the backpack, which basically essentially means lose 15 pounds, get a tan. We've established that early on in this episode. It's too late to do that, right? You have 5 days, but you got to be at home. So what is something that you can do? So you know the things that you need to do. For some people with like longer hair, right? Maybe it means I'm not going to wash my hair for the last 2 days before I go. So I really get that like nice sort of thicker hair, whatever. That's not me. I'm not doing that. I'm washing my hair every day. And I'm washing my ass. I'm not afraid to touch my own asshole. But maybe you're one of those people who goes, okay, I'm going to not wash my hair. Another thing you're going to do is you're going to wait until the, close to your trip to maybe get that haircut. If you're like a shorter haircut, right? You're going to wait until closer to the trip. So you're going to keep that ugly hair and be like, okay, I'm just going to wait. I'm going to feel so good when I get that haircut. So you wait until you get the haircut. Maybe you're going to like tan yourself the night before, right? The famous thing a white person loves to do, loves to do this, is to sleep in the tanner. You put the tanner on, it's ugly. It looks awful. Sometimes to get ready for this trip that you have in 5 days, you're going to have this like 4 to 5 day grace period of looking like shit. And sometimes you have to look like shit to look like a supermodel. Because sometimes you got to wait to get the eyebrows waxed. Sometimes you got to wait until you dye the eyebrows because everything needs to be ready for the last minute. And this is like the hyper quick version of what I'm saying is like, if you want to have the comeback, you can't be afraid to get dirty, and you actually should embrace it and enjoy it. No matter what the comeback is. If it's like, I want to lose 100 pounds in a year, or I want to feel really good when I go to the gym, or I just want to like look better in a few months. Don't be afraid to, 1, not know what you're doing, 2, to be ugly about it, and 3, you just have to be open to that final version changing. Because like, let's say you get further along. Let's say it's a fitness journey, right? Let's say you get like 3 months into it and you're already able to do what you thought would take like 6 months or a year. So you have to be able to adjust, right? Or let's say the opposite of that. You're not anywhere close. All right, let's adjust what I want this to be like in 6 months. You've got to keep, an open mind to what the final version will look like, but don't lose sight of how you want to feel. That's the most important thing. If your comeback is like focused on like look, that's one thing. You have to be able to like adjust. But if if your comeback is based on how you want to feel, that's the most important thing, I think, because you're in control of how you're going to feel. So I think that you should focus on that. That's just what I think. And I think on that note, on the first positive note of this episode, I think we should end it. We should call it, right? And with that, I'd like to say thank you so much for listening to this special Pride edition. It's not a special Pride edition of Intrusive Thoughts. Like always, I have been your host, and I am your host, and I will continue being your host, Adam Rippon. If you'd like to call the podcast, we'd love to hear from you. Don't be shy. Give us a call. Our phone number is 310-909-7117. We can't wait to hear from you and answer your call here on the podcast. And until next time, like I said, I'm Adam Rippon. This is Intrusive Thoughts. See you next week.